Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. My name is Julian, and this is the Drops episode for week 13 of the fantasy season. For Christmas, I got myself this beautiful New York Rangers reverse retro jersey, Adam Fox. Super excited to have that in my background today. Before we get into the players that you should consider dropping from your team, please leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you do want to take your support to the next level, you can follow me on Patreon. The link is in the description below. And if you do want to check out my merch store for merch just like this one, you can check that out at fantasytipped.com. Let's jump into the episode now. Let's start with some forwards that you can consider cutting from your team. For forwards, I don't have too many options this week. The first one is Dominic Kubalik. On the second line now with Kopp and with Raymond, and hasn't been doing a whole lot of anything. He was so hot to begin the season, guys. He was so incredible. But this regression was not hard to predict, guys. He's never been on a pace like that before. And unfortunately, with the way he's producing right now, he's not rosterable, and especially not in 50% of leagues. Then I have Mason Marchment, who's playing on the second line with Wyatt Johnson and Jamie Benn. Despite Jamie Benn heating back up, Mason Marchment is still not doing a whole lot. There's a little bit of a safe floor there with the shots and the hits, but overall, guys, Mason Marchment is not someone that needs to be owned in over 33% of leagues. And then we have Trevor Moore, who's out for an undisclosed reason. We don't know. But if you look at his game log, guys, he hasn't produced pretty much any points in a long time. He's still shooting the puck, so there's a little bit of a glimmer of hope there. But overall, guys, Trevor Moore is not someone that needs to be rostered right now, especially if you don't have the IR plus spot to keep him on your roster. Jumping into defensemen now, and first on the list is Filip Hronek of the Detroit Red Wings, 80% rostered. And he's no longer on the top power play, and he's no longer putting up points either. While he's still putting up a little bit of peripherals, it's not enough to really justify owning him in 80% of leagues. If I'm in a deep league, I'm obviously still hanging on to Filip Hronek. But if I'm in a shallower league, there's no reason to hold on to this guy anymore. His hot streak has come to an end. Then I have Mackenzie Weegar, who for some reason is still owned in 72% of leagues. This is the second time now that I include him in a drops video. And guys, this guy has been so disappointing the entire season. He's not seeing any power play time at all for Calgary, which I expected because he didn't see that in Florida. But just the way they're utilizing him in Calgary, the whole way that Calgary plays is very different than Florida, and that's not helpful for Weegar's style of play, and that's why he's really not that great of a fantasy defenseman this year. He's still putting up a little bit of peripherals, but he's not even putting up that many. It's really not worth hanging on to Weegar at this point. Then I have Keandre Miller, who was added in a lot of leagues recently because he had a bit of a hot streak. That hot streak is over once again. Keandre Miller is not really irrelevant in fantasy defenseman for the most part. He's a drop. Then John Klingenberg of the Anaheim Ducks. I listed him here a couple of weeks ago, and someone was like, "Oh, thanks for listing him here. You finally got him going." He went in a couple of games where he got, points in consecutive games, and then obviously he did nothing after that because John Klingberg has been terrible all year, and he is a drop, guys. He's not turning it around. He doesn't seem to have any indication of turning things around, so he's a drop. And then I have Rasmus Sandin of the Toronto Maple Leafs, 33% rostered, and he's on IR, and so is Morgan Rielly. Morgan Rielly is set to come back soon, so Morgan Rielly is probably going to come back before Sandin does, and if he does, Morgan Rielly is a top power play guy in Toronto, and if Morgan Rielly is a top power play guy in Toronto, Sandin has no value, so he's injured. I understand if you have room on your IR, you're holding him there, but there's not really a point, guys, because if he comes back and Morgan Rielly's already back, his value is pretty much negligible. Jumping into goaltenders now, and the first one on the list that I have is Jonathan Quick, 57% rostered, and he did play well in his last start. So if you want to hold them speculatively and make sure that he doesn't get more starts going forward, you can. But if he doesn't start the next couple games, guys, once again, and Copley keeps getting starts, Jonathan Quick is a super, super easy drop. Copley seems to have taken over as the number one goalie in LA, and Quick, unfortunately, is not fantasy relevant if that continues to be the case. Then I have Jack Campbell of the Edmonton Oilers, and Stuart Skinner has definitely taken over as that number one goalie in Edmonton. Jack Campbell, unfortunately, is a drop. He's not getting enough starts to really merit being on any fantasy team right now. Then Charlie Lindgren of the Washington Capitals, 47% rostered, had an amazing stretch while Kemper was injured for Washington. Now, Kemper is the starting goalie in Washington. As much as a lot of you Lindgren owners don't want to admit it, Kemper came back after his injury, after the Christmas break, and recorded a shutout. That pretty much gives no shot to Lindgren to be starting the next game or the one after that, because Kemper is looking good right now. Then James Reimer of the San Jose Sharks, 29% roster, and he's not a drop for me if you're in a league where, if you drop a goalie, he's going to be added right away, like a super deep goalie league. Don't drop Reimer. But this week, the Sharks only played 2 games, and one of those 2 games is a back-to-back. So if you're in a league that still has a decent amount of goalie options and you're holding Reimer for this week, I wouldn't do so because he's literally only going to get 1 start this week, which is not ideal. And then finally, I have Darth Vlader of the Calgary Flames. Dan Vlader, he's someone who had a lot of potential for a little while. He looked to be stealing the starter's crease from Markstrom, but Calgary seems to have no desire to give Vlader the starting crease, really, because Markstrom, when he is going, he is one of the best goalies in the league. He just has to find his form, and when he does, he could definitely have an amazing second half of the season, but Darth Vader, unfortunately, is not really fantasy relevant right now, unfortunately. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. Please leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I just want to wish all of you guys a happy and healthy new year. Hope for all the best for all of you guys. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tip.